because they're spending every bit of retirement money that comes into the federal government on everything but retirement. It must stop. It's irresponsible. That, sir, is the sort of exchange that I would anticipate we'll have. I will speak passionately about these issues. I won't be afraid to defend myself. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time defending myself. I know there's been a real eagerness for me to respond to these crazy ads that were taken out of context. Barron Hill wants to talk about everything. I'll go back to what we started with. Everything but his voting record. Everything but jobs and the economy. That's where we're going to go. We're going to go for the jugular.
Good.
Yes,
Todd, one of the things that we want our government to do is protect our borders. And I want to know, will you support what Arizona is doing and Missouri, and just support these people? And just what's your take on our government with what they're doing with this illegal immigration? It's just draining our economy in a way, and we just need to protect our borders. What's your take on that?
my take is that the people of Arizona, the government of Arizona, has been begging the federal government to get control of this illegal challenge, this illegal problem, for decades now. And the governor felt as if she had to take some sort of action. And I trust her at her word. The numbers seem to show it. You have all these people coming across, and it's created some real economic problems, even some social problems with crime and whatnot. So she had to take some sort of measures, I think she felt. There's a constitutional issue here in terms of whether she had constitutional authority to act. I tend to think that when the federal government has a defined area of responsibility and it ignores that area of responsibility or just flat out fails, maybe the states can intervene. But that's a decision for the judicial branch ultimately. But I can assure you that at the federal level of government, I'm going to work very hard to ensure, firstly, that we secure that darn border. And that involves, once again, fiscal responsibility. Because when you're spending $1 trillion of money you don't have on things you don't need, you know, that pretty much taps us out as we look to fund essential services like securing our borders, right? So once again, we need to get the economy moving again so that we have sufficient resources to invest in the unmanned aerial vehicles, additional fencing, smart fencing, UAVs, Border Patrol agents, all the things that can help us secure that border. As Ronald Reagan said, a nation without borders is not truly a nation. So, yes.
This has nothing to do with the 9th District country challenge, but today's 10 years of USS Todd being attacked. I listened to this on Fox. We have the third president who's passing on this. It's not going to Bush didn't, Clinton didn't, and now he's not. As you have a military background, what you're feeling? Are we just going to let these people go because they attack us? Nothing's being done about it. They know who did it.
Have we identified by face, by name, by location who these people are?
I don't know that guy, but it just seems like we're constantly letting these people do it and then go.
Well, I can tell you, there are limitations to what our intelligence community does and does not know. As a former intelligence officer, we don't know everything. I know there's some people think the CIA has it all figured out. They know where every body is buried around the world, but we learned that wasn't the case with Osama bin Laden, right? And we continue to realize that. So if we do recognize where these folks are at, then yes, I mean, I will be a loud voice for ensuring that we ensure these people are brought to justice. There's a larger issue here on national security. I mean, I think the 10-year anniversary is a time for us to remember that we are in the midst of a war on terror. And we must continue to prosecute this war on terror in the most effective manner possible. Funds are limited. It's been sort of the theme here tonight. We don't have enough money to do everything. But if we're going to be committed to a place like Afghanistan, we better be prosecuting that war in a very effective way. So I've had my criticisms. I try not to make national security issues political issues per se, but hey, I'm running for Congress and you're asking me to weigh in on some of these issues. One of my criticisms of how we prosecuted the war in Afghanistan is the absence of clear benchmarks. What constitutes success? Are we winning right now? If so, how do you know we're winning? This has either been not clearly articulated by the administration or by Congress, or they just don't know how we measure success. So I want to know how many troops we have to train and exactly what skill sets, how many we have trained in each given skill set. Maybe these are briefings that members of Congress are getting right now, but I haven't even heard them talk in very general ways about this. These are the sorts of tough questions I will be answering. And if we refuse to prosecute this war in an effective way, we shouldn't just be going through the motions. Might as well just send the troops home. My second criticism has been related to the timetable for withdrawal. That's right. President Obama chose a date on the map on the calendar. I think it was conveniently a year and a half before the next presidential election when we start sending troops home. Why did he choose that date? I've never received any sort of satisfactory answer. The American people generally haven't. Not that I'm asking them to call me on the phone and tell me. So there's some really important issues that need to be addressed with respect to our terrorism policy, kind of related to your poll question. And I think that's one way we can honor the memory of those who did die in terrorist acts, is by prosecuting the war on terror in an effective way.
If the good people of the 9th District send you to Congress as their representative, how will you make yourself, or will you make yourself easily accessible to them once you're in office? Because we all know that Mr. Hill is absent without leave, and his town hall, of course, is his, not ours. And so, I want to kind of get your understanding of how you're going to be available for us.
Well, Lisa, have I done a lot of this over the last... I'll continue to do a lot of this because I enjoy it. Doing a lot of this in the course of a campaign will make me a better member of Congress, and doing a lot of this as a member of Congress will make me a better member of Congress. I need to hear from all of you. I will continue to consult with you in a very direct way. James Madison said the role of a member of Congress, he said this in the Federalist Papers, was to refine and enlarge the views of the people. To me, in plain language, what that means is first, you listen to the people on any given issue of the day. Then you go back, you study the issue, having consulted with them in great detail. You come back, you say, I'm thinking of voting this way, and here's why. Maybe you receive some pushback, some criticisms. You reconsider your opinion, but ultimately, you cast a vote of conscience. And the people, in the end, I think, will trust that you have their best interests in heart. That is leadership. That's the essence of political leadership. We're not seeing it in Washington today. Heck, Barron Hill's not even listening to you. He's listening to Nancy Pelosi. That has to stop. We have 2 more questions here.
I'm with this gentleman right here. I was at North Burton. You give it to him straight and don't let him up because he'll try to change the subject. But secondly, and frankly, what I would like to say tonight, Mike Kester alluded to this. You're going to repeal this monstrous health care mess. But when you replace it, make sure that your office and every congressional office in the United States is affected the same way. So you get the same thing we get.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help keep things straight.
It's called leadership by example. I've been driving myself around this district in my little Jeep for about 18 months now. Still trying to scrape the bugs off the windshield. If you got a good product for that, please tell me. And we find out just the other day that Barron Hill is the only member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee that has two souped up Tahoe.